Hello everybody and welcome to the Tuesday edition of Video Clips. I hope you had a wonderful July 4th holiday and didn't eat anything that I wouldn't eat, of course, right? That goes without saying. Just one thing, you'll notice that sometimes I'm in my office and sometimes I'm in a conference room. We're trying to get to the bottom of the focus thing on the camera, and we think the changing light in this room full of windows, which you can't see when you're looking at me, may be part of the problem. So we're going to try again. We're doing different things here for video clips, and hopefully there won't be focus problems. But anyway, just a couple of announcements and a tip, and then I've got something really interesting and highly disturbing, more disturbing than the usual things that I talk about, to tell you about today. The first thing is the inflammatory bowel disease course starts next week. It's a 4-week course. It's really an accumulation of all the research that I've done on this topic over the last 17 years. A lot of information I've never shared, even pieces of it. So if you have this condition, Crohn's or colitis, or you know somebody who does, this is the course you want to take. If you decide to take that course, or you like I teach this one, by the way, during the day. If you like a daytime course, I'm also going to be teaching a course based on my new film and book called Diet Fiction. Michal Suruski, the guy who produced Food Choices, has a new film out about dieting called Diet Fiction. I wrote the book based on the film, and that'll be out soon, and I'm going to teach a course based on that. And then fall semester, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're talking about fall semester already. It seems like we should be talking about spring or something, but the calendar is pretty much set. We're offering a lot of great classes this fall, so take a look online. Now, I'm going to start with a tip, and I'll tell you how this came about. I talked to a lot of people who are trying to change their habits, and as so many of you know, changing habits is not as easy as some people think it might be. So it is easy for some people. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the stories on YouTube. I found out about eating a healthy diet, and I changed my diet, the weight fell off, and I've never looked back, and everything's great, and I never had any trouble, and I think that's wonderful. I don't think it's usually the experience that most people have. It is difficult. But anyway, I was talking to somebody who was trying to lose weight and has been struggling with this literally for a few decades. And the conversation went something like this. How's it going? I say to this person, who responds, well, it's going, and it's hard. It's just hard. It's hard to plan the food and go shopping and batch cook and make myself exercise, and it's hard. And so I said to this person, I said, I want to share with you something, an idea, and if it really offends you, I'm sorry, but I think I need to do that. Some of you who've listened to me for a long time know that I teach through analogies. So I said, let's look at this a little bit differently. Let's switch courses here. I said, let's say you and I are friends, and I have never had a job. And you, on the other hand, have been working your whole adult life. And so we meet for coffee, and you ask me, I just got a job for the first time ever in my adult life. And you ask me, so Pam, how's the job? And I respond to you, well, it's okay. I got to tell you something. I mean, these people expect me to show up every day at 8 o'clock. I mean, I don't know if you know how jobs work, but I guess that's what you got to do. And then I have to ask permission, like to take time off, and I have to be there the whole day. And then they make me do things that I don't want to do. I mean, I just really never imagined that working was going to be so hard. And what would your response be? Well, welcome to the world of employed people, right? Because all of the employed people in the United States of America have to kind of show up when the business opens and ask permission for time off and do things they don't want to do. And I mean, that's just part of having a job. Well, why am I pointing this out? Why am I sharing this with you? Because really, and I came back to the diet and lifestyle thing and told this overweight person, I said, listen, this is what healthy people do. All of us who are eating a health-promoting diet and taking care of ourselves, we go to the gym when we don't want to sometimes. We go to yoga when we'd rather stay home. We go for a run when we'd rather not do it. We go shopping for food. We batch cook. We look at things sometimes on the menu and think that's interesting, but we don't order it. It's just what you do to maintain a healthy body. It's just part of the job. And I want to say something about this too. A job is not a punishment for being broke. It's a way to not be broke. And eating well and exercising is not a punishment for being overweight or sick. It is the way to not be overweight or sick, okay? So I think that when people frame things in their minds in a certain way, it can sometimes make it a lot easier to do things than if they think that the experience that they're having is unique to them and nobody else on the planet ever has had it, or somehow I think sometimes people think I just got some kind of healthy eating gene that made it real easy for me to convert my diet. I mean, I do work at this. I spend a lot of time every week taking care of myself. That's what healthy people do, all right? So I just felt like maybe that comment might help a few people, since we know habit change is as much a part of all of this as understanding the knowledge, having the knowledge and understanding what the diet is all about that we talk about. Okay, so now this is really disturbing. I wrote this yesterday and I'm still disturbed 24 hours later. Apparently the National Institutes of Health has been monitoring social media, identifying and analyzing hundreds of thousands of personal tweets that have expressed, quote, trends of anti-vaccination beliefs on Twitter. In an article reporting the results of their analysis, researchers wrote, quote, the volume of online anti-vaccine beliefs is alarming and may indicate shifts in public opinion which can translate to lower vaccine coverage, end of quote. Now, in justification for this project, which I am a little concerned about, the article states that, quote, monitoring anti-vaccination beliefs on Twitter can uncover vaccine-related concerns and misconceptions, serve as an indicator of public opinion, and equip pediatricians to refute anti-vaccine arguments. Real-time interventions are needed to counter anti-vaccination beliefs online. Identifying clusters of anti-vaccine beliefs can help public health professionals disseminate targeted and tailored interventions to geographic locations and demographic sectors of the population. Now, I'm going to come back to that because this is, you'll understand what I'm concerned about in a minute. The analysis showed that anti-vaccine tweets are more likely to be from women who have delivered a child in the last 12 months, from people living in households with an income of $200,000 or more, and from men between the ages of 40 and 44 who have at least some college education. Asians were significantly more likely to be anti-vaccine than other racial groups. Anti-vaccine autism tweets seem to coincide with both the release of new reports on vaccines and to take place more around August or September when kids are going back to school and school officials are nagging parents about vaccinations. The researchers refer to this type of data gathering as quote-unquote social listening, which results in the observation and quantifying of changes of opinion. Now, what is this really all about? The NIH is identifying and gathering data on particular Americans and groups of Americans who tweet about vaccines. I'm sure that this information will be used to help pediatricians craft better sales pitches designed to overcome the objections from parents who question vaccines or refuse to vaccinate their children. But the real purpose of the program, in my opinion, is to identify and create a database of individuals who are what I call vaccine dissenters, who may be targeted at some point in time, particularly if vaccine rates continue to fall as they are right now. And if you don't think that the government targets people, let me assure you from personal experience that they absolutely do. The government has, in fact, broad powers to arrest and incarcerate enemies of the state, including those who interfere with anything that is deemed essential to the public interest. Now, this is where things get really chilling. So I went to the Centers for Disease Control website to look at what type of enforcement is really available to the state, the government, if they choose to do it. And I found a document posted there which includes a section called Police Power, which details the ability of the government to override personal choice in vaccine matters, specifically vaccine matters. The document also includes this statement, quote, school vaccination requirements have been a key factor in the prevention and control of vaccine-preventable diseases in the United States. Their constitutional basis rests in the police power of the state. And then it goes on to say more. This is really concerning, and I want you to ask yourself this. What if this same strategy were to be applied to something else, like Second Amendment rights or political affiliations? A branch of government could download and analyze tweets in order to figure out how to craft messages, some of which may be false. I mean, let's face it, much of the information distributed by the government about vaccines is patently false. To convince people to change their minds about gun ownership or which political party they choose to belong to. I mean, the news already does a pretty good job of promoting false information without any assistance, additional assistance from the government. Well, here's my opinion. This country was founded on the premise that people can say and do what they want to without government interference. While it's true that the tweets are in the public domain, the expectation, I think at least for me and most people, is that Big Brother is not gathering data from such resources in order to promote its own agenda. As for the claim that the information is going to be used to quote unquote educate people in targeted areas and tailor the messages based on demographics, this is nonsense. The government and drug makers are very aware, and they already know that education campaigns regarding vaccines do not work and often lead to the opposite of the desired effect. One study, for example, showed that public health communications about vaccines sometimes further reduce vaccination rates, and attempts to, quote, correct false claims about vaccines may be especially likely to be counterproductive, end of quote. Well, the quickest solution to this is to dismantle as many government agencies and programs as possible and return control to local and state government. And I personally am committed to voting out of office anybody who does not vote for smaller government and less federal intervention. So all in all, a very concerning issue. I mean, the government is watching everything. I mean, it's one thing to watch for terrorist activity. It's another thing to try to figure out who the vaccine dissenters are around the United States and have discussions about what we're going to do about such people, because I'm one of those people. Many of you are some of those people, and we inevitably would be part of the targeted group. All right, that's all for today. As usual, pass this on to anybody who you think would enjoy watching it, and I'll be back to you on Thursday with more news.